analytical rigor. The amount of access to information that we have today is nowhere close. The access to information that we had when I started 29 years ago. So having people that are analytical by nature, that feel totally comfortable with numbers, but at the same time are able to transcend the number to paint the traditional brand picture is mandatory.
If you understand a brand per se, but more importantly its strategic purpose, then you better write it on top of your office, and every day that you come in, remind yourself of what that it is. If whatever you're working on satisfies to grow the strategy, well done. If it is not, dump it.
It's not like sense making or critical thinking versus everyone walks in, they're a strategist. We got a lot of strategists, but we don't have a lot of critical thinkers. And at a time of great change, and we're flooded with things that are happening, and new this, new that, competitors, economy, buyers, trends. Critical thinking is really valuable. Or sense makers. Here's how to think about this. They don't have to have the answer, but they can help frame the issue in a way that helps the organization see something that is below the surface.
Global orientation. Right now in the world, two things are happening at the same time. There are pressures towards globalization, internet, affluent marketing, cross-border transactions, and there are forces that move towards localization, decoupling of the economic, rise of nationalism, so on and so forth. Having people that are able to look at the world with that frame of mind, understanding that you're going to need both and are capable of tackling the complex question that is, how do I deliver local relevance while maintaining the integrity of a global brand is also critical.
The first thing I would say to him is learn to embrace change. And don't take change as an adversary, but as something to say it's just going to be there. And that requires young people to build a healthy tolerance for ambiguity and to learn to prosper despite change, despite not having certainty around them. How do you actually move forward? That's one. Second, learning agility. Okay, I think the world where we are creating information, where consumers change as rapidly as they do, our competition changes as rapidly as it does, our ability to be learning agile and say we will continuously be students, I think is critical. The third, I would say, is how can you be more articulate? You have to be able to take complex problems and simplify them. I think it's critical to build the skills that allow people to explain in simple words what complex problems are all about. And last but not least is resiliency. Because it's a difficult world, because change is thrust upon us and we can't control it, it can create difficult times or a feeling of stress. And I would say our ability to ride through it, to be resilient, to take some of the adverse things that happen and still keep going forward will be critical for young people going forward.
The one thing I always look for anytime I interview somebody, meet somebody, is curiosity. Right? You can be well trained, you can have great experience, but if you're not curious at heart, you're not going to ask that extra question about pushing a little farther. You think you might know everything. Our conversations tend to be a little bit shorter than the people who don't know. They know things, but they don't know everything, and they want to know more things.
Teamwork and leading by influencing. The world has changed from the command and control days. You either lead by influence, regardless of organizational and hierarchical structures, or you're going to be left behind, and the organization will end up rejecting you. So the ability to work in teams, not only as leader of a team, but as an active participant in a team, is more important than ever. And then the last two is digital savvy and curiosity, which we didn't have at the time because of the world, the way that the world is changing. And finally, which I think the last 2 years have demonstrated, resilience is it. People that are able to manage adversity, that are able to make mistakes and pick themselves up frequently, are the types of people that we need in the marketing world and that we need in the business world today.
I think having a sense of curiosity and entrepreneurship, I think, is more important than ever, because things are not set in stone, things are very fluid, so you need to be comfortable with managing ambiguity and displaying kind of that sense of curiosity, because the organization is going to expect you to come up with new solutions, probably more so than ever before.
The marketing person needs to be the engine of creativity, positiveness, can-do attitude, and never take an obstacle as a reason not to move.